Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. More than 15 years I work for the Central Bank of Armenia, but I also cooperate with the IMF and the World Bank as a cybersecurity expert for banking regulation and supervision. I would like to identify if I have some colleagues here from financial sector. Anyone? One colleague. I need your support. What about auditors? Do we have auditors in this room? Few auditors. Do we have IT auditors in this room? Few IT auditors, good. Although this is about cybersecurity governance, but I'll talk about how to audit cybersecurity governance. The question is how to put this elephant in the fridge. Because before me, previous presenters already talked about very important things like cybersecurity hygiene, like data analytics, but a question which is one of the most important ones is people who are sitting in the highest positions. Are they able to make good decisions how to govern cybersecurity? Because we can have state-of-art systems, we can have lots of, I don't know, new technologies, but we need also to have appropriate knowledge in the highest level, I mean, in the board level, to govern cybersecurity. This presentation is like 18 plus. There are some bad words there, but I think it's OK. We do not have any teenagers here. So cybersecurity, the term cyber sounds very sexy. And lots of people are using cybersecurity instead of information security or data security or IT security. And some of them, it's the same. Currently, there are debates if the cybersecurity is the same as information security. And the next week, I'm traveling to Luxembourg to take part of another meeting, and we are starting right to identify if the term cyber people understand in the same way. I do not like to stop here and talk about that, but I would like to ask if you know Dan Early. Anyone knows the famous professor? He's a very famous professor, works in Duke University, and once he said the following: I don't like to read, but I would like to ask to read. And I can change just one small word, big data, and say exactly the same for cybersecurity. We are talking a lot about cybersecurity, mainly in technical things, mainly we are putting lots of efforts to identify hygiene, which is very important, but we need to have appropriate knowledge in the highest level who can show us where to go. This is my definition just for this conference. Next, this is the agenda I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk about the problem, management expectation from cybersecurity, cybersecurity governance challenges, key risks, and later on I'll give you some links to frameworks and how can internal audit cybersecurity governance or use a maturity model to assess the maturity. Because if something is not mature enough, that there is no need to audit. You cannot create any value, because the main objective of internal audit is to create value. So, does cybersecurity work as needed? One more question. Who knows about Peter Morris? Very famous guy, one of the partners of KPMG. And once he said that IT governance aspects of corporate governance are one of the things that CEOs, unfortunately, lots of CEOs think they don't have to understand until it beats them. This is really a painful reality. And I can, once again, change just one small word, replace IT to the cybersecurity, and say exactly the same. Until our companies fail after cybersecurity attacks or something else, our CEOs or maybe higher decision makers do not pay enough attention to that issues. So, what management expect from the cybersecurity? What does management expect? How to govern cybersecurity? What do you think, for example, in public sector, in financial sector, in other sectors, when our board members, mainly from economic field or from, I don't know, law, their background is economic, finance, law, do they understand really cybersecurity? Can they really manage and govern cybersecurity? How to be sure everything works as needed? OK, we have cybersecurity hygiene. But who should give us assurance that hygiene is there? Or hygiene is there and works properly, works as needed? Next question, how to measure results? OK, everything is there. We know everything works. We know. But we like to be sure. I'm the responsible decision maker. I need to be sure that everything works as needed. And how to measure that results? So, for lots of decision makers, I mean high-level officials, cybersecurity is still a black box. And they are afraid to make decisions sometimes, and they are pushing this decision to be made by CISO or CIO or some other low-level managers. What is cybersecurity governance? Who can help me to define what is cybersecurity governance? When you say cybersecurity governance, what is the key components of the cybersecurity governance? Any thoughts? Who knows this beautiful lady? Please. Most of you. And what do you think? What kind of connection do we have with Angelina Jolie and cybersecurity? Zero connection. What do you think if you Google Angelina Jolie? How many records will you get from Google? Just guess. 2 million? 5? Please. How many? 82 million records. But if you Google cybersecurity, Google gives you 93 million records. And as I said, lots of people are Googling like cybersecurity. If you add these two numbers, it gives you some idea that currently our CEOs or maybe our board members are Googling cybersecurity more than Angelina Jolie. In my age, when the internet just became very popular, people were looking Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt or someone else, much more than cybersecurity. But cybersecurity is now the first key priority for any CEO, I think, any board member who is responsible for cybersecurity. So what is cybersecurity governance? I would like to share with you the IT governance definition, which comes from the IT Governance Institute. And once again, we can change just one word, IT governance, and put it cybersec, and it will exactly define what is cybersecurity governance. And what is the most important components of cybersecurity governance? It's integral part of corporate governance. It consists of leadership, which is the most important part, and also organizational structure. You should have appropriate organizational structure, and without that, doesn't matter what kind of state-of-art technologies you have there, it cannot help you to survive in this digital era. And also appropriate processes. Appropriate processes should be in place to deal with the cybersecurity. So if I try to just visualize this, enterprise governance is our roof. And IT governance is one of the cornerstones. Cybersecurity governance is the second one. etc., etc., etc. So without the roof, whatever you have inside the room, like imagine we are building a new house without roof. If we do something here, if we have the most expensive furniture here, just after the first rain, it will be destroyed. So if we do not have appropriate corporate governance or enterprise governance, we cannot talk about cybersecurity governance. Key risks. Cybersecurity is a technical issue. I heard about this from lots of CEOs, from lots of governors. From my experience, I can say I'm traveling a lot, mainly in undeveloped countries or developing countries in Africa, Asia, in the Pacific. And my main business area is finance. I have lots of experience talking with the governors of the central banks, CEOs of the commercial banks. And most of them are thinking exactly like this. They know that cybersecurity is very important, but they think, cybersecurity is a technical issue. We do not understand cybersecurity. Next is why we have cybersecurity responsible. We have CISO, and it's his or her responsibility to take care about cybersecurity. Or we have state-of-art systems. What if you have the S-Class Mercedes-Benz in your garage and you do not know how to drive? So you have state-of-art systems, but you do not know how to use it. And finally, we are not interested for hackers. This is also a stupid approach of dealing with the cyber everything. I guess some of you may watch this video. This is very typical painful reality. Some governors, I met with them, they are emphasizing that, we are doing penetration testing every year, and we are quite safe. Here is the reality of the penetration testing. Look at.
Hey! Hey!
This is very typical, very typical. I was sitting in a committee when penetration testers were presenting the results. When we are asking penetration testing to come to penetrate us, we think our risks are here, and if they can give something about this sphere, then we are totally safe. So penetration testing is one of the controls. OK, you can do that, but it's not enough. So cybersecurity frameworks. There are several cybersecurity frameworks. I'm more than sure that you may know about that. First is NIST Cybersecurity Framework, which is universal. You can use it for any sector. The second one, G7, 8 elements for cybersecurity. This is a very high-level framework, which is also acceptable, and you can easily use in different sectors. And the final one, FFIEC, which stands for Federal Financial Institutions Evaluation Council Cybersecurity Tool. This designed specifically for financial sector. Although there are 5 main areas, you can use one of them for your particular business. So maturity model. What is the maturity? Maturity gives you to know where are you now. Because as I said, if your company is not mature enough, then doing audit will not create any value. So if you know where are you, you can say, OK, tomorrow or after 5 years, I would like to be there. But if you do not know where are you right now, it's very difficult to say what is your vision. So cybersecurity, FFIEC maturity framework gives you a very easy tool to assess your maturity. And there are 5 domains. And there are 5 maturity levels. You can assess your current maturity and match with your expectations. This is the assessment. And after the assessment, it gives you something like this. for every domain, there are assessment factors, and there are also components. For example, in the governance domain, you have oversight, you have strategy, policies, etc. So after assessing, you'll see there should be lots of green areas, red areas, or yellow areas. Whenever you have less than yellow, let's say, which is less than 50%, it means you have to work more effectively in that area. So before maturity assessment, your company looks like this. And you cannot say if the next second your boat is under the water or in the water. But after maturity, your company is more or less looks like this, because you know already where risks are come from. And you can implement appropriate controls to mitigate that risks. So as a summary, cybersecurity governance is the integral part of corporate governance. Once again, if there is no roof, there is no need to buy the most expensive furniture. Cybersecurity governance is a broad and complex topic, yes. We need to have appropriate knowledge in the boardroom to make good decisions for our companies. And clearly defined roles, responsibilities, and accountabilities are key components of cybersecurity governance. And finally, the most important is also audit or assurance. Who is giving us an assurance that cybersecurity is in place? So cybersecurity governance is a journey. But who should decide right now? It's a journey. We are here. Should we go straight, left, or right? This is the question. And who should answer this question? Thank you so much.
Thank you.